not your enemy. So what do you want from me? Say what you gotta, it really don't matter, it really don't matter to me.
Hey, welcome back to the channel. Before we get started on today's video, just want to give a couple shout outs. The first one is going to be to JAVLIN Concepts. That is the maker of the carrier you see right here. This is the placard that comes with it. You can put all kinds of different stuff on it. We'll have a video on that in the meantime or in upcoming time. Then we got one for T.O.C. KYDEX. So both of those, if you use a code on those, it's the boys, all caps, no spaces. The next one is going to be, shout out Meal Team 6. Dope guys right there. Hit them up. Custom magazines. Those guys are dope. Love those guys. Shout out Johnny. Shout out Matt Gore. All right, I keep looking down at the notes because I don't want to miss nobody. And then X-Ring Supply. X-Ring Supply hooked us up with a Rain 3.0 that we're going to T&E. Already got some marks and stuff on it. We'll have video on that coming at some point. They do a whole bunch of different sales though, so if you use the boys 5, all caps, no spaces, that'll help you out when you order from them too. So yeah, thank you. All right, the product in hand that we have today, it's the Zero Gravity LLC Summit 34. This mount right here has a hinge system, which we'll get into. It's pretty cool. Just for a disclaimer real quick, just want to let you know, I hit these guys up whenever I saw a post about them. This was probably November time frame. Hit them up. Owner is absolutely awesome. He was like, yeah, I'll go ahead and send you one. Go ahead and beat the hell out of it. That's what I got. There you go. And today, this is about 2,000 rounds that we've been able to make happen between 4 different range strips. Kind of the same schedule as the Elfman. So that is the disclaimer there. That's the relationship. Super cool people. Too long, don't read. Go ahead and get them out. It's awesome. All right, on some quick technical specs. It's made out of 7075 T6 aluminum. It's got hard coat anodizing. I think it's type 3. And then the weight 5.7 ounces. So it was, when I first got it out of the box a long time ago, I was surprised at how light it is. Most of the mounts, especially in this price range, I think are a little bit heavier. I don't know. It's just cool having a mount that is this sturdy with that kind of material that's that lightweight. And you can see all the lightning cuts in it. And when you get the close-ups, that's going to actually go to another pro of it. You're going to see how quality the machining is on this, and it just really stands out. And that hard coat anodizing, after you see the drop test we've done on it, X, Y, and Z, stuff of the sorts, you're going to see if you're one of those people that doesn't like chips and whatnot, you'll be happy with this finish.
All right, y'all got me. Y'all said drop it on the concrete, so here we go. It's probably going to do damage to the optic before it does to the mount. So let's move the sling out of the way so y'all can't argue that maybe some padding got in the way. Man, I hate y'all, man. Yep, everything's good. Let's check these turrets because that's, yep, still squishy, spongy, and not recommended. Chipped on the optic. Here, we'll show you.
On the height, this is a 1.7. Normally I'm a fan of like 1.93s, especially with something like an EOTech, but every single optic I'm pretty sure that I had before this was at a 193 or a 2-inch and up. I can't remember what the specific is, but with like the Unity, I figured the 2-inch and up was a little too high for me with the LPVO. The 193 is what felt most natural. And when I was talking to Zero Gravity about trying the mount out, he said, hey, well, try the 1.7 if you never have, because it's got some pros, it's got some cons that you might not realize yet. So we tried those out. 1.7 I found, it does sit lower. So whenever I'm getting up on the rifle, right, I do have to cock the shoulder up just a little bit more to find exactly the sight picture I want than I would with a 193. But because it does sit a little bit lower than a 193, there's less correction at distance that I have to worry about. And with the LPVO, when I'm just trying to be simple and have those capabilities, I like that. That's really nice. So I've actually grown to love 1.7. And it's probably my favorite now. So, and then plus also if I get a offset or something of the sorts, someone told me it's going to be easier to do that. Haven't experimented with it yet, so I'll let you know, but that's just what someone told me. To be determined, right? It was something like that. Fuck it.
Well, let me put this guy up for you.
Yeah.
Start going crazy.
All right, going hot.
Lord.
I'm actually already hot.
Yep.
Yeah, we got live targets feature on today's episode.
Yeah, today we got live targets on the Boys Against NATO thing.
Huh?
What were you saying?
Oh, I was just saying a lot of people don't do a whole lot of like moving and shooting.
No, it needs to. That's the whole point of shooting.
Yeah.
All right, man. Shooter ready?
Yes.
All right, and another little cool technical aspect on the Zero Gravity Summit 34 is you have very quality etchings. I think they're laser engraved. I'll get you some close-ups of what your torque specs are. And these are Torx screws. I do prefer those because they just seem harder to strip, I guess. And yeah, it is different. So on the top, you got 18 inch-pounds is what the torque rating is, and then you got 28 inch-pounds right here on the rail. And then also you've got your recoil lugs that are built into the bottom of the mount, and we'll get you some close-ups of that are going to connect into the upper receiver group. So yeah, I like it. All right, and then up here on the top, it's supposed to be flat and match your upper receiver group and be level with it. That's supposed to be able to help with mounting. I wouldn't be able to personally verify that because I took it to Gorilla Armament here in Jacksonville, North Carolina, and I had them mount that up. But that is one of the advertised pros with it too. And just for full disclosure, I have not tested that, so I don't know. All right, so here's the debating point about this mount that I see every time I post it. It's got a hinge system, and some people say, hey, I don't want to mount with a hinge. Other people say they don't care. Well, I will say that the hinge here is on the bottom and it's not on the top at the 12 o'clock. And it also isn't only one, it's got one on each side, and it's not at the 6 o'clock, it's at the 5 and the 7. So it should be, in theory, spread loading any kind of impact, and it should, just by placement, not be absorbing it at its most, which should be at the top. I'll also say it's kind of protected if you have an optic like this, because the turrets, the battery compartment, the upper receiver group, stuff like that. So, but it does have its scrapes and dings. So onto the track record about how that advertisement and description has actually held up in our use. So as I said earlier, we've had it for about since November time frame, and I've put about 2,000 rounds on it, and I've purposely yeeted it. And then I've intentionally dropped it, and then it's accidentally fell. And it has taken all those rounds, classes, range days, and drops and bumps, and it has just reigned supreme over all of it. Bridgeport do not hit nicotine up on the mountains, and everybody was like, fuck that, personal challenge.
Mega based.
All right.
All right.
You got the timer?
I do.
All right. Just shout whenever.
Oh shit. No.
Starting the meeting.
This thing is tough as nails, and being 70-75, I think, is what has a lot to do with that. I think that their advertisement about how and why they do the hinge system really makes sense. And this really is my favorite mount, period. It looks good. I love the way that it looks, and I know that some people would debate that. Some people would say they don't agree, but I absolutely love it. I recommend this mount to anybody. It's kind of a you can't screw up kind of mount, right? And if I was going to recommend this in our traditional sense here on the page about going to war or having a hard use or having a duty set up for like a law enforcement or something of the sort, right? I would recommend this mount to anybody that's going to have just a hard use, civilian, duty, anybody. So yeah, it's phenomenal. Great mount. Can't recommend it enough.
Ready?
Yep.
Up.
Something really cool, probably one of my favorite features about this, especially if I wasn't to take it to Gorilla, but even taking it there, but if I was to mount it up myself, it's just a great convenience all around, and I can't think of any negatives to it, except for one that my buddy Johnny Fairbanks told me. Shout out to that guy. Essentially, you don't need Loctite for any of the screws here. It utilizes a helicoil tangless. Sorry, I had to look down for that. I don't know what that means, but the way that it was described to me is it works kind of like how the Owl from Cloud Defensive mounts up. So you've got like the screw going through, and then you've got almost like a claw that's threaded on the other side. Somebody can Google what I just said, the helicoil tangless. That's how it works. It doesn't require Loctite. And I will say these screws have not backed out or anything. I've not lost a zero, regardless of all the drops, anything of that sort. So I believe it. It's great. Everything that this optic has claimed it's going, or the optic mount has claimed that it's going to do, it has done. So we have full faith and confidence recommending it. Anyone that says I don't trust the hinge system, I understand why you might feel that way. That's fine. I'm not going to argue with you to try to change your opinion, but I will say I think you're missing out if you're not, because this mount is awesome. I think it has solved whatever issues were present on the market at that time. So take that for what you will. If you don't want it, you don't, but if you do, you'll be happy. Have a good one, guys. Thanks for coming back to the channel. Shout out Baron the Outlaw. That guy is absolutely awesome. Love that dude, professionally and as a friend. That guy is awesome. Let's see. Oh, my 20 round is inside, but check him out. Awesome guy. Have a good one, guys.